beautiful early summer Saturday afternoon in Anchorage, Alaska. Families are having picnics in the park, people are barbecuing, and children are getting ice cream. After months of winter and a harsh spring, people are celebrating the joyful things in life. General Brian Eifler, the commander of the 11th Airborne Division, has a day off and could also be out. He probably should be. But instead, he's at home at his kitchen table with a piece of paper and a pen. General Eifler knows a few soldiers in his division have been going through some rough times and decided to do something about it.
Every single one that I started receiving reports on, I would write a written letter, handwritten, and I'd personalize as much as I can without getting into the details, but just say that, hey, we can get you through this. We're going to make sure you get the support you need, but we need you on the team. We need you.
Writing letters like these had been something suggested to him by a mentor, David Bartley. So General Eifler had started with one letter, and pretty soon...
Some weekends I was writing 5 or 6, and Dave says, just keep writing them. You might never hear anybody come back and say, hey, whatever, but I did a couple times.
He didn't do it to be thanked. He did it because, well, it was the right thing to do.
There's someone right there that needs you, and you're not going to say anything. You're not going to do anything. That's not who we are as soldiers, and that shouldn't be who we are as people. And I think that's important, that we just don't forget that these aren't machines, these aren't robots, these are people. And sometimes you need just a little kick in the butt. Sometimes you need a pat on the back or a word of encouragement.
But earlier that week, General Eifler was approached by someone who had received one of the written letters and told him that the note had made a huge difference.
I had no idea. I mean, it'd bring you to tears. You have no idea what it meant to them, but it meant the world to them, and it changed their lives for the better. And there's no money, there's no position or power that can give you that much satisfaction when you see that something you said or you did change someone's life to the better.
Lieutenant General Eifler doesn't know how many letters of encouragement he wrote in the 3 years he served in Alaska, but if even one of them made an impact, that's all that matters. It's these sorts of simple but important actions that he's carried out over his 30-plus-year career in the Army and led him to his current position as the Deputy Chief of Staff of Personnel. In today's episode, our hosts sit down with General Eifler to discuss key lessons he's learned during his Army career, the importance of simply saying hello and giving someone the time of day, and a hidden talent that even some of his friends and former battle buddies didn't know about. I'm Carrie Varuheikis, and this is Army Matters.
Amazon's low Earth orbit satellite network is driving an information advantage across domains for national security missions. Amazon, advancing the space domain.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lieutenant General Retired Leslie C. Smith, and I'm here with my good buddy, my best friend.
Wow, I'm your best friend ever?
Today you are.
I hope your real best friend isn't listening to this.
You're my podcast best friend. How about that?
That's right. And you know who I am? I'm the 15th Sergeant Major of the Army, SMA retired Dan Dailey. And you know what? I'm honored to be called your best friend, podcast best friend.
Okay, Daniel A., Blue Eyes. So let's jump into it.
Let's go for it.
Right. So Dan,
mm-hmm.
Do you have a secret talent that very few people know about?
Whoa. Personal talent. I have no music ability. I have no music ability at all. None?
Well, what talent do you have?
I'm a craftsman. So I'm a woodworker, beekeeper, and a beer brewer.
And
I can fix anything.
And you're an auto worker too, right?
Auto mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, you're Mr. Fixer.
I went to college. That was my first degree, automotive technology.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so I can bring my car over. You can work on it for me.
I could fix it.
How much would you charge me?
Well, because you're such a good friend, I'll do it for full price.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say free. Come on, brother.
So what is your hidden talent?
Well, I do it all the time, so it's not really hidden.
What is it?
I like to take naps. That's not a talent, though. Let's see. It's all good. Okay. So Dan, you know this because you've worked at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
What does the Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel do?
Well, he is basically, in civilian terms, the human resources manager for over 1 million soldiers and about 500,000 civilians.
That's correct.
Throughout the entire United States Army.
Yes.
And that includes managing not just promotions and leaderships and counselings and reports and legal requirements by law that he has to maintain certain statuses. And he takes part in recruiting because, those guys run all the numbers on future forecasting of how many soldiers we need and how many we've got to retain. And it is a never-ending, continuous, laborious job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to fathom the responsibility associated with that task and that job.
Yeah.
Especially, I think it's one of the hardest jobs in the Army. What do you think?
I think so. Between the Vice, the DAS, and the G1,
yeah,
they're always the ones that have the stay after meetings with the Secretary and the Chief. Now the IG and SMA, we just do PT.
Yeah, right. No, we do PT so we don't hurt people during the day.
That's right.
So Dan, the reason why we're talking about the Deputy Chief of Staff of Personnel, the Army G1, he's here in the studio.
And he has a hidden talent.
And you
want to know this? He was my company commander.
So you've known him longer than I have, but I've known him for a long time too. Lieutenant General Brian Eifler, welcome to Army Matters, brother.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor to be with such great hosts, and I'm excited to talk with you guys. And
yeah. There was a little hesitation on the word host there.
I was trying to come up with something better than that, but I just stepped it down a little bit just to.
We got to keep it PG.
Keep it clean right now.
Keep it clean.
At least start off good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to start off with something, a little light, and it's about leadership and how leaders can push their soldiers to excel beyond their own personal desire or will. Or back when you were in Korea. You were a company commander, and you pushed a young soldier, probably, I think, forced a young soldier to do a triathlon. Who was that, and what was the outcome of that experience?
You said forced?
Sort of. I guess using my leadership skills, I encouraged him and inspired him to, that soldier was then Staff Sergeant Dan Dailey, who was one of my Knights of the Round Table of C is for Killer company of 29 infantry.
Hold on. C is for killer.
Yeah, well, that's we were Killer company, and we were Charlie company, so we used to say C is for Killer.
Okay.
It was and SMA. I think it was it after one of the Manchu miles that we did?
The EIB 12-mile road march.
Okay, it was after the EIB. I knew it was after road march, and then we had like the 8th Army, Peninsula Triathlon the next morning, and we got some crappy bikes together because we didn't have very good bikes over there. And I went to his room. I'm like, hey, come on, let's go. We got to do the triathlon. And sure enough, we went and did the 8th Army Triathlon together. It was great.
Nice.
It was fun.
Nice.
The general did a little bit.
And after that, he became the SMA. So it must have worked out.
It worked out. He did a little bit better than I did that day, though. He did.
Just a little bit? Okay,
well,
so
he didn't. He's not bragging on himself, but he came in, I believe, second place overall with a mountain bike. And he rode the last 2 or 3 miles on a flat tire.
Not on a flat tire.
That's true.
Wow,
yes,
I think this lesson is getting ready to get bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
and I understand you're an Ironman competitor.
Yes.
So tell us how you felt the first time you finished when you crossed the finish line.
Geez, I think I did one that was in the Bragg area. But I just thought, wow, I got to get better equipment. I was riding a great friend of mine, Bobby McCarthy's loaner bicycle, and I think the pedals broke halfway through. And I was like, wow, this was really fun. I got a lot of adrenaline out of it. And I said, I think I could do good if I actually train a little bit harder. And it sort of bit me. And from that point on, I was like really focused on getting better and doing those type of things.
Getting good gear.
Yeah, I needed a bike that wasn't like 100 years old. I didn't get much better with the bike I had in Korea. So
nice.
No. So, sir, lots of competitions. What is the one sport or athletic event that you really wish you were good at, but you're not?
Chess.
Chess.
No, I
Okay.
I was very small growing up in high school and never played football. So I always wanted to play football, but I never did. And so then I was a late bloomer. So I grew really in college. I started growing inches, literally. And every time I'd come home, my friends wouldn't recognize me. I kept getting taller and taller and taller. So I think as I look back at it, I always want to be, play like a wide receiver. I used to grow up watching people like Anthony Carter for Michigan and just
nice.
So that's, I guess if that'd be the one thing, I'd love to do that. So we do some flag football and stuff like that, but now, I'm 57 now. So, that train may have passed. I don't know. I've still got 4 years of eligibility.
I was going to say,
yeah,
you still have 4 years of collegiate eligibility.
Yeah. I can be a walk-on.
Let's talk about your uncle that served in Vietnam.
Yeah, it was his birthday yesterday, Uncle John Spencer. And he in 1968 was drafted and went and served in Vietnam the year I was born. It was tough for him coming back, and we as a country didn't treat our Vietnam veterans very respectfully, and I think that was always just in my heart for him growing up. We used to wrestle and do all sorts of things together. And he, and when I was young, I would just ask him, well, what was it like in, going into Vietnam? And I would just, I would probably trigger him with just innocent questions. And I didn't think anything of it when you're young.
Right.
But he was always somebody that was quiet about it and didn't talk about it. But I always thought that as a person of character and what he demonstrated as a father, as a husband, and as an uncle to me, I just honored him for that, and he's the reason really why I had the inkling to serve to begin with.
Well, so you attended Central Michigan University, the same as Les.
Go
general.
Chippewas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as an undergraduate though, I did undergraduate.
Yes.
Undergrad, yeah.
I did graduate.
I'm one of the few that actually was on the campus and
Yes.
And graduated.
Yes.
Well, tell us about a flyer you discovered on campus and how that changed your life.
Yeah, well, I grew up outside of Detroit in the suburbia, and I didn't know what I wanted to do in school. And I stumbled upon this brochure for Central Michigan University, ROTC, and it talked about, marksmanship and land navigation, orienteering, and all sorts of, and rappelling and all this. I'm like, hey, kid from suburbia, that's me. Sign me up.
Nice.
And that's sort of how it started. And then they, the first day they're showing you all the clubs, and I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. They got this marksmanship team. I'm like, that'd be great to join. And hey, there's this drill team. Oh, that's really cool. Then they had this, Ranger Challenge team, and that was it for me. So that was sort of like a non-sanctioned intercollegiate sport back then, still is a little bit. And I got in with a bunch of guys that were just of strong character and people that I really wanted to emulate. One of them particularly was Chuck Donnell, who's now retired, who had just come back from Ranger School as a cadet. And I'll be darned if I didn't want to be just like him. And so the rest is sort of history in ROTC.
Well, also at CMU, sir, there's something else that helped you mature, and probably the most important thing that happened to you while you were there.
We're trying to give you a hint.
What would that be?
It was probably meeting my wife.
Ding, 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 ding.
Tell us about it. We got to
Yeah.
hear the love story.
Yeah, well, she tells a different story than I do, and so I'll help by telling her story.
Yeah.
Tell her version.
So
tell her
I
version.
had, my dad was a lawyer, and he always carried his briefcase, and I thought that's what you're supposed to do. So I had this, this attaché case, right, and that he gave me, and so I'm in.
Was that a Merce? Were you carrying a
No,
Merce?
it was like the square, box type.
I'm just
briefcase.
Just checking, Rainer. Just checking.
Yeah. And so it was very official looking. And I walked into like our junior year MS3 classes, and Sherry's in there, and she thought that who's this nerd here opening this this briefcase?
It's
and,
a briefcase, not a Merce.
And it's definitely not one of those. But and that's sort of how it started. And then she was part of the Ranger team as well. And the rest, as they say, is history.
So she was in ROTC also?
She was, yes. We got commissioned together.
Really? Okay, so explain a little bit about that. Our listeners want to know.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a love story, SMA.
Okay.
It's a love story.
That's why you wouldn't know about it.
We definitely fell in love, and we sort of knew we were going to get married. And we were on the Ranger Challenge team together, and we did everything together. We had a couple classes together, and it was great. Academically, I was a little bit ahead of her, so she graduated really a year after me. But we were sort of in the same MS military science work. But I went to Ranger School as a cadet, and she went to airborne school in an advanced camp. But I did that summer. I didn't go to. I just went. So that was another big thing for me. Going to Ranger School as a cadet was one of those. And talking about goals, objectives that not everybody gets to do, and had to fight to earn a slot. So between Sherry and being able to go to Ranger School, that really set me on a strong path for the future.
Right.
So, sir, I know at school you learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you've talked about it before. How do you view Maslow's theory in relation to your career?
That's funny. I remember learning that, and I
Maslow hierarchy.
I did learn that in college.
Mm-hmm. I'm in my self-actualization phase.
Yeah,
right
there
now.
you go.
Yeah.
There.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought I wanted to be a Ranger platoon leader. That was my whole goal. I go to Fort Bragg, go to the 82nd, and then I do an assessment, and I got accepted to go to what was then ROPE, the Ranger Orientation Program, and I got accepted and got in, and I felt like I self-actualized. That was it. I had become shortly thereafter became a Ranger platoon leader, did that for a while. And I was like, what else is there? This I've culminated. And it was just a great experience. And I was just like, and then I just kept going. I said, I'm going to keep doing this. And then you start at a point in your leadership journey, you start really thinking more of the mission and others. And I think I really started to do that as a young lieutenant.
Nice.
So that was my take on Maslow. And, Maslow sort of got that 6th level, which is really about giving back to others at a level that is so selfless that is just on another level. Yeah. And that's part of the reason I'm still serving.
So, sir, we all make mistakes, and that's probably some of the best learning that I've had through my mistakes. What's a mistake you made, and what'd you learn from it throughout your career?
Gosh, I got so many mistakes. Well, I'm not a yeller or a screamer, but sometimes combat sort of requires that. I remember we were patrolling. I was a battalion commander. We were going down the road, and we saw what we thought was an IED, and we were going to see the headquarters, and we stopped, and we were like, "Hey, let's check this out." I had one of my sergeant, a staff sergeant. He deploys the mark bot. I say, "What do you do? Just go up, take a look at it." And we look through the camera and say if it's an old can or something like coffee can. It's what EFPs look like. Then we'll just we'll move on. We'll go. But if it's something, we'll get. But don't touch it. And so he's control of the thing, and he's going out there, and then we're from a distance, safe distance, and the mark bot just starts hammering. It runs into the thing and starts pounding on this thing, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I just sort of went off. I'm like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to do that. You're like, what did I say? And mark bots at the time, they're sort of new, and they just, once they lose control, they just keep doing what they were doing before.
What they did the last command.
And he said, sir, it just did it on its own. I like, oh, okay. So I felt like a real jerk. And I was really frustrated. But the best thing was that I just apologized to him right then and there. I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry. You were exactly right. And I think that meant a lot to him because he told me about that later, because most people are afraid to apologize and admit what they're wrong. And I didn't think it was a big deal at the time, but things like that echo through your soldiers' minds and your formations. When you admit you're wrong, when's the last time, I like to ask leaders this, that they've admitted that they were wrong in front of others? That's just not heard of today. Like today's world, we like to point blame and defer blame or make counter accusations. But I think that's one of those times where I learned, like, hey, you own it from the get-go. When you make a mistake, you own it. Don't try to make excuses. There was no excuse. You own it. And I think that's a big lesson that I continue to try to teach myself all the time. Humility is key.
Amazon is serving the needs of national security with a low Earth orbit satellite network, keeping critical missions connected across domains. Amazon, advancing the space domain. Don't miss AUSA's annual meeting, the largest land power exposition and professional development forum in North America. Join nearly 40,000 attendees October 13th through the 15th in Washington, D.C. Don't miss your chance to connect with Army leaders, explore cutting-edge technology from more than 700 exhibitors, attend expert-led presentations, and celebrate the Army's 250th birthday. Learn more and register at ausa.org/AM.
Welcome back to Army Matters. Now, sir, you've had a lot of mentors throughout your career, like many of us do. Is there one that you'd like to single out? Someone that taught you a lesson that you still use today?
Well, I'll put you on the spot, Uncle Les. I will tell you.
Uncle?
So yeah, Uncle. I always call you Uncle Les. So you don't know that, but I did. So when I came to the Pentagon, I was as a colonel. I used to say it's like going to China, being a brain surgeon. You don't speak Chinese, and you're not a brain surgeon, but your patient is waiting on day one. And so it's a tough environment. You're learning how the Army runs. You're learning how our government runs. You learn new languages of how they communicate or how they don't communicate, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, tough environment. And not everybody gives everybody the time of day, but I think you were the deputy IG at the time. And you gave me the time of day like nobody else. And you didn't have to. I wasn't working for you. I wasn't even working around you. I just remember saying, hey, man, what's going on? Who are you? We sat, I think it was on a bus ride to one of these engagements or something. And we sat and talked. But I think I try to emulate that. I try every day. I'm in the Pentagon. Now I'm a 3-star general, for crying out loud. And I like to remain humble, but I also can't forget that, hey, you're a 3-star general. Say hello to that person. Shake their hand. Engage. Have a conversation. And I think that's one of those things that you taught me.
You remember that, Dan. Just remember that, okay?
I talk to everybody in the Pentagon, everybody.
Brian, in the teaser, we heard about handwritten letters that you've written to soldiers that are going through a tough time. We really appreciate you sharing that with our listeners. You also use the expression that hope is a weapon. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes, absolutely. We talk a lot of the challenges of losing hope and having despair, and that's what really leads to self-harm and bad activities. So if you can prevent the loss of hope, you can prevent suicide. And it's not easy. It's not, it doesn't always work. And, there's science behind the importance of having hope. And how do you have hope? And I know Lisa Miller, she wrote a book on the awakened brain, and she talks about people that have a spiritual connection, that they're like 85% less likely. It's like the number one preventer of harmful behavior and losing despair. So, and then what other ways can you not lose hope? Well, connection. I'm connected to Dan and Les, and they're connected to me, and our subordinates are connected, and that connection brings hope too. So that's why we do a lot of the cohesive teams and things like that. That connectedness bring hope. Dave Bartley, a friend of mine who tried to commit suicide, that's what got him off of the bridge, is someone just identifying and talking to him and say, hey, what does it feel like on your worst day? And then making a connection. And so anything we can do to create hope and create that connection and that inclusion of you're part of something special, bigger than yourself, we can keep that hope alive and keep people from, despair.
So Brian, you're now the Deputy Chief of Staff of Personnel, the Army's G1. What's been the hardest part of that position, and what lessons did you take from your time as the Commanding General of the 11th Airborne Division?
Well, the hardest by far is just that the responsibility of over 1 million people and their personnel, administration, management, all compos, and then the civilian workforce too, over 250,000 DA Army civilians. So when I lay my head down at night and wake up in the morning, I have that on my shoulders that you better not let them down today. And everything that we do is complicated, right, at this level. And you guys know this, like all the easy stuff's been solved. And so you're trying to do things that take some time, take some effort. In some cases, you're changing culture, which takes some time. And it takes effort. But I think that, some of the things that I learned, from the 11th, starting that division, and I learned it before that, but it just keeps on, the more you do this, the more you need more other people to help you. You are not the expert. You are, as soon as you think you know it all, you're just through. And so I think you've got to remain humble, because the humility helps you have a learning attitude and openness. And learning means you're growing. And that's what you've got to do. I'm an infantry by trade, not an AG officer. So I lean heavily on my teammates.
Nice. So they call you Maverick. Why they call you Maverick? Maverick like the aviator, or Maverick like the...
I don't like the definition. I think I don't think anybody calls me Maverick.
Of course not to your face. They'll never say it to your face, Brian.
Well, this was based on the Predictive Index survey, and it's one of those things that I think we piloted for a while. It's like it takes like 2 minutes. You ask 10 questions, and it's sort of like a Myers-Briggs or a personality. It's more like how you lead, how you sort of interact, and sort of like puts you in a category and says, this is how you react, this is how you lead, this is how you respond to these certain things. And mine said Maverick, and which was basically said, hey, you like to go the other direction sometimes when to test something out, or to not go along with everything, and sort of not necessarily be a challenge, but sort of question. And it could come across as you're like this maverick, like you're going rogue and all this. And so I'm like, there's no way I'm a maverick. And sure enough, I'm going into meetings all week, and I'm getting reinforcements that I am a maverick. I'm pushing back on everything. I'm like, gosh, I just did it again. I can't help myself. And so that's where it came from. It's one of the cooler names in that, because some of them aren't very cool. No one wants to be an individualist, or something like that. So, there's the story. So not like Tom Cruise or anything like that.
Well, we're going to stick with that, though.
Les would come out conceited, I think. I think Les would come out conceited.
Yeah. That's right, Iceman.
Hey, Brian, remember who just said that now, okay?
Yeah.
A hit dog will holler.
That was the joke behind the joke, sir. That was
that's right.
It takes him a little bit, sir. It takes Les a little bit to pick up on the stuff. But
that's right.
Let's finish things off with something fun, too. We start with something fun. Sir, we've known each other for years. But I'm actually upset when I heard this, because I thought I knew a lot about you. Thought we were pretty close friends, shared a beer, watching a game in the basement together. But you played the guitar and you taught yourself how to do that.
I did.
What?
I did. I started in high school, but back then, no internet, right? I didn't have any lessons. I was very limited, and then really started again with some praise teams in church on posts.
Nice.
And started a little strumming. And then I just got busy in life and put it away. And then COVID happened. And so I was like, hey, I'll get a guitar again and start playing again. Of course, with the internet, you can learn just about anything. So I love playing. I love learning. I'm not great, but I do love it. I do.
Yeah. I just feel bad. All that time you're a company commander, you could have had us around the campfire in the field and played us a song. And, there's so many missed opportunities to bond the team there, sir, that you could.
Oh, he did a pretty good job.
Someone's pulling out a guitar here.
Yeah, so would you be willing to play something for us? What's your favorite song?
I don't know. I go in waves, right? Like I get, one time I was into the Beatles, and then I was into the Led Zeppelin, and just learning. And as I got better, I was like, hey, I can do this. I can play this, and I've been doing a lot of '80s stuff.
Okay.
And then is this thing in tune? Whose is this?
Yeah, just try it out. Just do a little strumming for us.
And one of the teammates tuned it before.
He's got to put his glasses on.
I can't.
To people. He can't see that.
Is it in tune? This is.
Let's see.
Like
Let's play.
Cat string guitar. There you go. That's
pretty good.
That's great.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Give you. Yeah.
The rest you got to go through Ticketmaster.
Okay, roger that. Now we know something more.
Yes. The troops missed an opportunity, sir.
Yeah,
the troops
he can still do it now. I think he should start doing it in his meetings.
Mm-hmm. I did in the 11th. I played with our band every once in a while. They'd pull me up on stage, and we'd play a couple of songs that we already pre-practiced.
Nice.
I'd come up and play a little Nirvana or stuff like that. We had a great time, but I love doing it. It's fun. Again, you got to have some hobbies.
Nice.
And that's I get a kick out of it.
That's great. So, Lieutenant General Eifler, Brian Eifler, thanks again for joining us here on Army Matters. We know how busy you are, and thanks again for taking time to hang out with your uncles.
It's an honor to do this. I have all the time in the world for you. It's important. So thank you.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
In the CJADC2 era, cross-domain connectivity is everything. That's why Amazon is creating a low Earth orbit satellite network designed to meet the needs of national security. Amazon, advancing the space domain. To all our listeners, thanks for joining us. Army Matters is brought to you by the Association of the United States Army, the U.S. Army's professional association, member-supported, Army-connected. Visit us at AUSA.org for more information or to become a member. Your membership helps AUSA continue to carry out its mission, educate, inform, and connect with the total Army, our industry partners, and supporters of a strong national defense. Today's episode was hosted by Lieutenant General Retired Les Smith and SMA Retired Dan Dailey, and anchor hosted by Carrie Barrow-Heckes. Andy Bosnack is the supervising sound editor. Ellen Toner is the content editor. Unzinga Curry is the executive producer, and the senior producers are Carrie Barrow-Heckes and LaSharon Duncan. Be sure to subscribe to Army Matters wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave a review. As you know, we love seeing stars in the Army, especially if it comes in the form of a 5-star review. AUSA's Army Matters podcast can also be heard on Wreaths Across America Radio on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, on the iHeart Radio app, the Audacy app, and the TuneIn app with the search of the word Wreath. AUSA's Army Matters podcast primary purpose is to entertain. The podcast does not constitute advice or services. While guests are invited to listen, Listeners, please note that you're not being provided professional advice from the podcast or the guest. The views and opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect the views of AUSA. For questions or to provide topic recommendations, email us at podcast@ausa.org. I'm LaSharon Duncan. Hope you have a great Army Day. Hooah!